guys, it's me again. So today I thought I would do my normal makeup routine, and then I'm gonna also try to film a video that shows like common mistakes that you could make while doing your makeup. Oh my gosh, sorry if you can hear the wind. It is insane here. The wind is crazy. I don't normally wear headbands. I did this to try to get my hair out of my face. It's working really well, as you can tell. So if you watched the previous video, this is the e.l.f. Poreless Primer. No, Poreless Putty Primer. I really like this one so far. Again, if you have oilier skin, you may not like this one. But if you need recommendations or if you want me to do like an oily skin video, just let me know in the comments below. So I use all cream foundations right now. I do have another foundation coming in, so I'm gonna do another video in the future about like a first impressions video. So this is what it looks like. So these two are foundations. They're called highlights, but these two are foundations, and then I'll show you how I contour also. So I just use the darker of the two actually, and just pounce it around with my brush. This is the brush that I use. So one side I use for blush, this side I use for foundation. And I just kind of put it around my face first. And then I just move it around. This would be if I was going maybe out to dinner, or when I worked at my old job, not at the preschool, because I don't do everything when I work at the preschool because, you know, kids. But at my old job, when I was more like the face and talking to parents and talking to my staff and stuff like that, I did more of a full face of makeup every day. So I just do that. You want to be careful with all foundations. They all kind of vary on how you're going to put them on. Some people prefer brushes, some people prefer sponges. It's kind of personal preference. Some foundations just perform better with different brushes. This foundation performs the best with these brushes. They do have dupes though, I've heard on Amazon. I don't have those, but I have seen other people that I follow that say that they do. I prefer to do their concealer with my finger. This again is personal preference. You can do it with their brushes as well, but I think it works best if you can kind of melt it into your skin. Because these are cream foundations, they're mostly pigment, so a little goes a really long way. It was definitely a learning curve when using this because I'm kind of used to packing it on. I'm not afraid of makeup. I'm not afraid of wearing a lot of it, to be honest. So my first couple days, maybe even first couple weeks using it, I definitely used way too much and it showed. Now, if you have a blemish, look, you can do your best to conceal it, but I feel like it is what it is. Like, it's there. What are you gonna do, you know? So I do my best to kind of just pounce it in, get it everywhere. If you have lines and wrinkles like I do, I feel like that's one thing that might be missing in the beauty community too, is people that are like 35 and above. Because you can see a lot of videos of people that are in their 20s doing foundation, but that's one thing, that's what the next video is gonna be more about, is kind of the common mistakes I feel like you can make if you are putting on makeup, because I feel like that's one thing you just don't see a lot. And so I think there's a lot of mistakes maybe that all of us make because you see some people do them, and then I think sometimes I notice them now more than ever, now that I've gotten older, This is just a contour shade. So the difference between contour shades, I'll show you what I have, but the difference between contour shades and bronzer shades, so, sorry. The contour shade is on this side. The bronzer shade is on this side. Your bronzer shade is just gonna be warmer. Your contour shades typically are a little more ashy or cool. Some people prefer their bronzers to be really warm, like that terracotta color, things like that. If you're really fair, like I am, you wanna avoid those altogether. The ones that are terracotta are just gonna show up really red and they're just not gonna look good at all. One trick that you can do with bronzer is kind of in a W shape. So that's like where the sun would naturally hit you, is kind of right here on the tops of your cheeks, on your nose. So contour, I kind of do there, and then, you know, try to avoid the gobbler. You know, try to get it so that you don't look like you have been eating yourself out of house and home during the quarantine. I'm looking at myself because it's a struggle. It's been hard. Kids eat 1,000 snacks. I had to start like rationing shit because, you know, what are you gonna do? Can't eat everything. But it's been hard because I just want to bake. I just want to eat everything. Again, in my last video, I said I don't mind like a strong contour, but again, don't really go, I'll get a thinner brush. Don't really go past here. Don't drag yourself down and look weighted down. And you want to go like in the hollows of your cheeks. So like if you sucked in, right here is where your contour should sit. Some people contour their nose. If you're gonna do that, which is totally fine. I don't typically do that, but you can. If you're gonna contour your nose, and if you want like more videos on contouring in depth, you can just get like an eyeshadow brush if you want. If you're not gonna buy a specific brush, just flatten it. So I don't know if you can see that, but pinch it. And then you'll just go down the sides of your nose. I saw one video talking if you were gonna do it like tweezers. So kind of like this, down your nose. Depending on what you want your nose to look like is kind of how you would shape it. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, depending on what you're trying to achieve with your nose contour. So with blush, I mean, some people like a lot of blush, some people don't. I know this looks clowny. I like a lot of blush, and I also like to put it on my nose. My cheeks naturally kind of flush a lot anyway, so I just feel like I'm gonna put blush on them to kind of make it look like I did it on purpose. And I always smile. It always looks creepy, I feel like, in YouTube videos, but even the people I watch, it looks creepy. But it is what it is. I typically avoid blushes that have shimmer in them. That for me is because I have large pores. When you have large pores, I feel like if you have blushes that have shimmer in them, they will accentuate the fact that you have texture and bigger pores. So I personally prefer blushes without shimmer. One of the blushes that I use just now has like a sheen to it, which is different. So a sheen is just a little bit of a shine. I don't want anything with glitter. Glitter's not my friend because I feel like glitter is aging. So you can also do just a little bit of bronzer to warm your face up. I do this sometimes. I'm naturally fair. If you know me at all, you know this. I don't tan well. I did when I was younger, but that ain't me these days. I don't really see the light of day. My husband calls me a vampire. It is what it is. And then I do like to powder. However, that's just, I don't know. I used to have really bad skin when I was younger. And so I feel like I always tend to want to over powder, but you want to avoid that if possible because it will make you look older. my setting spray is almost out. So it kind of mutters and sputters, but I always do a setting spray right afterwards and then pounce everything in. Try to push it in and then use a dry sponge. So this is not wet, clearly not clean either. Sorry, that's pretty gross, but push it in as much as possible to get the excess off. So this will just pick up any excess foundation that you have so that things aren't sitting in your like lines and creases and all that stuff. Okay, so then after that, I take a smaller brush. I used to take a lot fatter brush, but now I take a smaller brush like this. This is just a Real Techniques brush, a smaller brush, and really kind of get in there with setting powder. You can use a loose powder or you can use one in a pan. It's totally up to you. I can recommend both. I can do a video on like different ones that I prefer. I do have one in a pan that I do really like, and it is drugstore. The hardest part right now is not being able to, well, not the hardest part, but as far as makeup goes, one of the harder things right now is just not being able to shade match anywhere, because buying online, for me anyways, is not easy. So I feel like buying foundation and concealers and things like that is not easy, but I do have pressed powder that I do like. And then I also, if I'm gonna do it, I will bake a little bit with a loose powder. This just kind of sets my contour and also defines it a little bit. I know it looks crazy if you're not somebody who does this all the time. However, I do feel like for me that it's worth it, because I like this line to be a little more defined. And then I just press it in a little bit more on my cheeks and down my neck. The one that I use for that is, sorry, it's in the lid, so it's messy, is the Coty Airspun. It's so cheap. It's like $6. Okay. So typically next what I'll do is eyebrows. I can take this out now, but typically what I do next is eyebrows. One of the things you want to make sure that you're doing with your eyebrows. Now, I do like a more defined eyebrow. So that's not for everybody. And sorry, I have to look over here. I have to look in my mirror. I always say I'm not gonna go as bold. Maybe since I haven't worn like actual makeup in days, weeks, months, years, it seems, it won't be as bold. But I actually really like bold eyebrows. If I could have like giant man eyebrows, I would. I just don't. You know, the 90s happened and I just took everything off that I had. And you work in a salon when you're younger and you just wax the hell out of them and then they never grow back again. So again, on this camera, it looks really red. In person, it's not as red, but it is looking kind of red, admittedly. This is why all those YouTubers say, I'm gonna do my brows off camera. I also have a really strong muscle in one eyebrow. So if you always see me on camera and one eyebrow looks like it's higher than the other, it depends on what facial expression I'm making. because one of my eyebrows naturally will kind of arch more than the other. And so depending on the facial expression, if you look back at my last video, you'll see me do this in like the very beginning, and it's me kind of noticing that I do it and trying to stop myself from doing it. It's very natural to me to do it, and I don't mean to. I just do it. Which makes it super fun to brow map me. Not. When I took my microblading class, I was like the example in the class because I'm like the person you don't want to have to brow map. Because it's annoying that I do it. And I'm like not aware of it at all. And then just, I set it with the brow gel. Like I said, I really like big, bold, floofy poofy brows. This look is not for everybody, and that is okay. You do you. When it comes to your eyebrows, if you don't like this look, don't do it. I'm not offended. I realize right now without eyeshadow on it looks kind of Captain Insano, but that's okay. For eyeshadow, there's lots of palettes out there that have like tons of pros and cons. I would say avoid eyeshadow palettes that have tons of colors in it that you know you're not going to use. So one eyeshadow palette that I really like right now is by ColourPop, and it's called California Love. It's so inexpensive. For me, these are the colors that I gravitate towards. Anybody with like blue eyes, even brown eyes, this is an amazing palette because it has a lot of really great matte shades and it's really affordable. So I'm going to start here because that's a really good transition shade. So I'm just taking a Morphe E13 and just kind of sweeping it everywhere, all over the middle. Because I set my eyes with that powder before, I don't really use eyeshadow primers anymore. If you want a good eyeshadow primer, I always really liked the MAC paint pots. Those were my favorite when I used one. I don't really use one anymore, but if you do have like oilier eyelids, I do recommend getting one. Smashbox also has a really good one, but I don't currently have oily eyelids, but if you do, I would recommend getting one. Then I'm going to use the next color called the Bay, which is this one in the bottom corner. Same brush, and just go a little bit beneath that. And just like a windshield wiper motion. You don't have to be super technical. If you're doing like a really bold, like smoky eye, I do think it's better to take your time and blend, but I usually just try to get this done in under like 24, 25 minutes. And then I just kind of will try to make sure everything blends. And then this is a MAC brush. It has seen better days. The dog got a hold of it at the bottom. I think it's a 230. I've had it legit since I was 18, I think. So the next color I'm going to use is this one called Surf Rider. And I'm just going to put this all over the lid. It's not the most pigmented for what you think it is, but I kind of like that if you're just going to do an everyday. There's not a lot of fallout either on these, which I really like. And then the next one I'm going to go into is probably this one, which is called Diego. It's just really gold. I don't also think that you have to have a ton of brushes. So you can see like this is pretty bright. So then I'm gonna go underneath right now with just the gold because typically I have kids running around and they're also trying to do their makeup, you know, because they're kids and they see what I'm doing and they want to kind of move. I actually might do this bottom shade too, just a little bit to deepen the outer corner. If you like these types of shades, Morphe also has a ton of palettes that are great for this. If you, I'll show you that palette because I have that palette too. It's a little larger. However, it has a lot of those colors as well. Which I love this palette too. And it's also very affordable. You can also do single shadows and then just buy a Z palette. So this is a Z palette. So you can buy anything like this. And then you can, these are just all removable. So you can just, it's a magnet back. And so you can just put all these in your own palette and kind of make your own palette, which is also nice. Okay. So on the regular, I actually don't wear eyeliner, but you totally can. And again, my trick for your eyelash curler is I heat mine up with a blow dryer. Just be careful. Don't get it too hot to where you burn yourself. Be smart about it, you know? And also, don't put your hand on, or put your elbow on a table and curl your eyelashes. I knew a girl in high school that did that. She sat her elbow like on a table while doing her eyelashes, and then her elbow slipped. She pulled out all of her eyelashes. So, lesson learned. Don't do that. If you get some excess shadow, just, you know, brush it away. And oh, I forgot this. So I always use the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer. This wind is insane. Feels like my house is gonna blow down. What are you guys doing to like not be so bored? I really should download a book or something instead of just mindlessly scrolling through social media. I've been trying to do stuff with my kids, and those of you who know me know that I'm kind of a germaphobe, so I've been, you know, disinfecting a lot, cleaning and stuff like that, but you know, there's only so much of that you can do. So just trying to stay home and stay safe and not panic. I feel like every day is like a episode of Chopped, like what I have in my pantry and in the refrigerator, on what I can make for dinner. Okay. There's no cute faces you can do either when you put on mascara. It just, you look crazy. Again, this is my favorite mascara. It's by Thrive Cosmetics. They also just came out with a black brown. They used to only have black or brown. Now they have both. I always kind of go over my eyelashes too, just to get like the excess off. And then if you have any spots where you got some on your eyelids, you can just, once it dries, or you can do it with a Q-tip. My favorite lip gloss, I remembered and I brought it up here. It's Revlon and it's called Supernatural. It's my favorite lip gloss ever made. It doesn't have a crazy smell. or taste. I think that's the worst, when lipsticks and lip glosses have like a taste. I think that's one of the reasons I never wear lipstick. Plus I like eyeshadow, and so I feel like sometimes when you do bold eyes, which I tend to do, you can't do bold lips. It's too much. Also, because I have bigger lips, I don't tend to do lipstick because I feel like it's just a lot going on at once. So I feel like it just looks like all mouth, and then I feel self-conscious. Maybe I should probably just get over it, but. So then at the end, when I'm done, I kind of just assess the situation and see, do I need more blush? Do I need more powder? I tend to always want more blush. So then sometimes I'll go back over the cream blush with powder blush. This is a new one that I just got. It is Revlon, called Rosy Rendezvous. I've never tried it before, so we'll see. I actually like that a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna turn down some of the lights so we can see kind of what this looks like. It kind of creates a shadow, so it's hard, but there we go, ish. Sorry, the lights again are kind of hard, where Brian and I tried to play with it a little bit, but I'll take an after picture too so you can kind of see. But this is the after picture. This is my everyday, so even with talking, it was 26-ish minutes, 25. But this is what I do when I'm trying to get ready and actually look better than like the Fresh and 15. So I do an eyeshadow look. I'll show you. So this is not like a full smoky eye or anything like that, but let me know what you think. And then I plan on doing another video after this, and keep subscribing. I have 11 subscribers. I'm so pumped about it. And then I'll see you soon. Bye.